everyone! Welcome back to our daily read aloud for Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, written by Jordan Sonnenblick. Today is going to be Chapter 7, Take Me. Okay, Chapter 7, Take Me. Once I was forced to believe that Jeffrey really had cancer, my mind playing another big trick on me. I started to think that if I just made the right promises to God, he would magically make Jeffrey all better again, and the promises just popped into my head right and left, day and night. This made for a tough couple of weeks. I'd be in the lunch line at school, and a pack of ring dings would catch my eye. I'd say to myself, okay, if I don't eat those, Jeffrey will get better. Or I'd promise things like, if I never hit Jeffrey again, he'll get better. About 20 minutes a day, too. I swear that I'd never in pure thoughts about Renee Albert ever again if Jeffrey would be all right. But let's face it, I'm a 13-year-old American male. I have no willpower, so every night I'd go to bed totally convinced that I was going to gain 20 pounds and be a fat, violent pervert forever, and that my little brother was doomed. Then in the morning, I'd start all over, like, I'll floss every single day, even between the molars, of course, there were times when I wasn't bargaining, but those were generally just times when I was busy breaking the promises. It was like the exact opposite of Lent. I would swear to give things up and then immediately do them. I was a mess. When I realized how bad I was at giving things up, I tried to find other deals I could make with God. One day in gym, we were hitting softballs with this pitching machine that the baseball team uses for training, which we almost never get to use. But it was a really nice day, and the teachers must have been desperate to get outside one last time before the winter started. So I was telling myself, alrighty, if I hit this next pitch, Jeffrey is okay. Then I'd miss because with my thick glasses, I basically have no depth perception at all. So immediately I'd be at it again. Okay, how about 2 out of 3? Strike 2, 4 of 6, with 7 out of 10? Naturally, I know what a spasmo I am at sports. Yeah, I know drummers are supposed to be coordinated, but it doesn't matter how coordinated you are if you're blind as a bat. So I know I should have found some smarter bets to make, and I did. By the end of the first week, I was scrounging at the bottom of the barrel for deals to make. Here's a pathetic one. Here goes a good offer, Lord. If that bird on the tree over there flies away within 10 seconds, Jeffrey is cured. That was in the middle of math class. While I was staring out the window as the class checked the homework I hadn't done. Unfortunately, I got distracted by the teacher's despairing cry. Alper, any chance you can answer number 37? When I looked back out there, the bird was long gone, probably scared off by the outburst of yelling that was going on in my classroom. I was fairly certain it had been longer than 10 seconds between when I looked away and the moment when the teacher's attempt to engage me devolved into top volume. Random threats to my safety, but we'll never know for sure. As usual, drumming was my big escape from all this reality stuff. Rehearsals and practice times bounced these islands of okay in a vast sea of holy crap. So I hoped from Little Musical Island to Little Musical Island. So I hopped from Little Musical Island to Little Musical Island. One day, a weird thing happened to me. I left math class to go to the bathroom, and on my way back, I heard this beautiful piano playing coming from the band room. Now, of course, I knew it had to be Annette. She was the only unbelievable keyboard prodigy in the building, and I knew that she had this independent study piano period. But when I walked over and stuck my head in the band room, I couldn't really process what I was seeing. There was this truly pretty girl sitting at the piano with this amazing posture and her hair falling long around her face in a quite non-Annette-ish way, and a serene look I had never noticed on her face before. She finished the piece and looked up after a long time. After a long, long time, I would be toasted like a barbecue wiener when I got back to math, and blushed. She actually blushed. It was like as soon as the music disappeared, so did smooth Annette. Then she mumbled, Chopin. What? That piece is Chopin. I'm getting ready for an odd audition at Juilliard next month, but I'm not nearly ready yet. You're kidding, right? That was the best thing I've ever. What's at Juilliard? It's a famous music school in Manhattan. They have an intense program for high school students every Saturday from 8 to 1. So you'd have to get up around 6 to get there. I'd have to get up around 4:30 to get there, but my parents are willing to drive me. And don't you want to have some free time on Saturdays? Steven, forget it. Want to try something? Suddenly, another new Annette had sprung up. She had kind of a mischievous, flirty grin on her face. Sure. Sit down at the drum set. Go ahead. Now get ready to play what you hear. Okay. All right. And she burst into this fantastic, complicated jazz thing. So I tried to play along with the ding-a-ding ride cymbal thing that always works for jazz, and immediately got the beat all turned around and messed up. Annette stopped playing and laughed. She looked at me and jumped in again. Again. I got ruined in seconds. So she jumped in for another go around and another and another. Finally, I had to ask, "What is this?" "Oh, it's just a little something I picked up off a CD this weekend. It's called Take 5. It's by this piano player named Dave Brubeck from like 1963. Why can't I play it?" "Well, the beat is 5-5-4 instead of 4-4. Huh? You have to count 5 beats in every measure instead of 4. That's why it's called Take 5. Want to take another shot?" Just then the bell rang, and I realized I had now officially skipped out of my first class ever. Annette just smiled that new smile and flipped me a CDR disc. "Here it is. Learn it." Then she bopped off down the hall with the old bunny on puppet strings walk I was used to, leaving me to wonder what had just happened. I was fairly true that something had. Things were happening at home too. Around the second week of Jeffrey's treatment, I guess word got out among my parents' friends that it was time to acknowledge Jeffrey's illness. All of a sudden, as if somebody had thrown a switch. Phone calls started pouring in. Cards jammed up our mailbox. A flood of concerned grown-ups started pulling up to our house with baskets and bags of food, flowers, balloons, toys. I admit that the edible stuff gave me a nice break from being the microwave Hot Pockets poster child, but the whole scene was kind of bizarre. You can picture it. The well-wisher comes in. We all thank him or her. The Tupperware is handed over. Then everybody stands around awkwardly while the visitor tries to find appropriate things to say to my parents. If I'm around, it's weird. They ask me how I am, but I can't actually tell them anything about anything that's going on in 90% of my life. Then they really mean, how are you specifically with regard to your brother's health crisis? And if Jeffrey's there, it's the biggest nightmare of all. Half of them try to be cheery no matter what, so they act all loud and hearty, swinging Jeffrey around and telling corny jokes. Meanwhile, I'm standing there, mentally shouting at them, "Be gentle, you moron. Don't bruise him. Please step away from the boy." The other half are solemn, no matter what, which is equally horrendous, because Jeffrey is such a naturally happy kid. He wasn't generally downhearted in those early days, despite the illness. Sometimes he had really bad aches, especially in his legs, and he was tired a lot of the time, and the chemotherapy drugs were making him feel pretty rotten physically, but mentally he was Jeffrey. The kid wanted to laugh and play and maybe watch Nickelodeon from when things got too exhausting. And when the frowny people came, they almost wanted to see Jeff be as a sad, sick boy to earn the pot roast they were carrying or whatever. And those visits dampened his spirits for a while at least. After a week or so, though, Jeffrey and I made a game of it. As somebody started up our front walk carrying the obligatory giant shopping bag, I would say, "Okay, Jeff, what do you think? Frowny or cheery? Definitely cheery. I think we've had 3 frownies in a row. You might be right, little man. We are due for a cheery right about now, but she's looking a bit nervous. I'll bet you $1 she's going to be a frowner. Then we'd open the door, smirk at each other through the visit, and finally assign the victor a score after she left. No matter how horrendous the experience had been, I could usually get Jeffrey to laugh by acting like a sports commentator. A tremendous effort by kind old Mrs. Jacobs from the accounts payable department. She brings an apple pie, but wait a minute, it's store-bought. That's a mandatory deduction. Jeff, we'll have to give her a 5 out of 10 for baked goods. In the behavior category, she's definitely cheery. Jeff, I owe you $1, you gambling shark. But she clears her throat repeatedly, a clear sign of discomfort. On the other hand, she did pat your head pretty vigorously. I'm going to have to call that a 7. But she smelled kind of funny, Stephen. Is that points off? Ooh, it is. Another mandatory deduction. Was it a dirt smell or an oldness smell? Oldness? Okay, that's another mandatory deduction. Why don't we call this a 6 overall? Meanwhile, my parents would tell us to be nice if they saw all of this, but I got the feeling it amused my dad as much as anything else had since Jeff's nosebleed. Near the end of Jeffrey's first month of treatment, there was a big dance at school, the first one of my eighth grade year, which is supposed to be some sort of big deal. You can imagine how much I felt like getting down and partying at that point. But of course I had to go. It was on a Friday night, one of the nights when Jeffrey was home, and he had been too weak to do anything but watch videos and throw up all day. For about half an hour before dinner, I tried to get him to play checkers, but he finally just wiped the pieces off the board and told me to go away. I could believe a lot of things had been forced to over the course of that month, but getting kicked out of a checker game by my baby brother was pretty tough to swallow. This was the kid who used to toddle over to my bed at 6 o'clock every weekend morning to pull on my blanket so I'd get up and watch cartoons with him. This was the kid who once made me play Hungry Hungry Hippos for an hour straight until I thought my hands were going to fall off from slamming down those dumb little levers to make the hippos' heads move. This was the kid who had spent entire days at a time begging me to play Chutes and Ladders with him, and now he was feeling too sick to play with me. And I know this is a selfish reaction, but my thought at the time was, oh great, I'm not even at the dance yet and I'm already getting rejected. What an ego boost. I was starting to get nervous about this dance. I went through every possible clothing combination I own, but somehow none of my dozens of black rock band t-shirts seemed to match with any of my 3 identical pairs of Old Navy jeans, and I was still standing in my room with only my pants on blasting WZZO, trying not to think about how horrendous Jeffrey must be feeling while I was running off to a dance and randomly tossing shirts to and fro when my mom appeared in the doorway. Honey, we have to hurry. If you want to get to this dance, since your father's at that big dinner meeting at work, I have to drive you and take Jeffrey with us, and I don't think your brother is going to be awake much longer. I know, Mom. I just look like a dork master in every shirt I own. You do not look like a, what is it, dork master? Stephen, you look like a handsome young man, although you might want to zip your fly. Mom, what should I have not told you? What should I have not told you and left it for everyone else to notice at the dance? Mom, would you please let me get dressed? We don't have time for one of your big insecurity scenes here, Stephen. Let's see what you have in your closet. She opened the closet doors and started thumbing through the clothes I had hanging there, giving little motherly comments. This one looks great with your brown eyes. This one makes you look nice and muscular. Mom, this one is too formal. This one is stained. Why is a dirty shirt hanging in your closet? This one is perfect. Now put it on. Mom, that one's purple. I haven't worn it once since the day Grandma gave it to me. I look like Barney. Oh, Stephen, Barney is purple and green. You will look nothing like him. Plus, this isn't purple. It's eggplant. Sure, Mom. Chicks dig a dude who's sporting the latest eggplant turtleneck styles. I grabbed any old black t-shirt off the floor, stalked past my mom as I pulled it on and went downstairs. Jeffrey was sitting on the couch, looking miserable, but he had enough energy to embarrass me in front of my mom. Do you think Renee Albert will dance with you, Steven? You think she's hot, right? Oh, leave me alone, shrimp boy. Renee Albert has a boyfriend. Will you dance with Annette? She's pretty too, and she knows you're alive. Where does he get this stuff? I don't know. Jeffrey. I don't know, Jeffrey. Usually there's a big line of girls waiting to dance with me. So it depends on how soon Annette gets there. There's just not a big enough supply of Stephen Albert around to meet the demand. That's a joke, right? Yeah, it's a joke. I'll probably just stand in the corner trying not to be noticed until the decoration committee accidentally packs me into a box at the end of the night. There I will lie, crammed between rolls of crepe paper until the New Year's dance 2 months from now. Jeffrey thought about this for a moment and said, won't they notice the box is too heavy when they go to put it away? Good point, Jeffrey. Stephen, put your brother's shoes on, will you? We have to get moving. They'll never fit me, Mom. Har, har, har. Very funny. Now let's go. It wasn't until we were all in the car several blocks away from home that I realized the random shirt I had put on was last year's middle school band concert shirt. Perfect. It was easier than building and carrying a giant picket sign with the word geek on it, but it achieved the same effect. When we pulled up at the school, I was pretty distracted, but I did notice that Jeffrey didn't look so great. I came up with a new bargain with God. If you make Jeffrey better, I won't go to this dance. Maybe God knew that right then, staying out of the dance didn't feel like a big sacrifice to me because he didn't instantly cure my brother. I ruffled Jeffrey's hair, told him to be good and not to play too much WWF wrestling live with his fragile mother. Took a deep breath and walked away into my big night. Inside the dance, I found a bunch of my friends standing around in a corner. It suddenly struck me that the two worst social situations in middle school, dances and dodgeball, had a lot in common for guys like me. You go to the gym, stand in a corner as far away from the action as possible, and try not to be seen. Your eyes scan the room for threats, either flying projectiles aimed at your head or girls aimed at mortifying you by getting you out on the floor, and you sweat profusely while standing still. Also, you're wearing clothing that embarrasses you, and you feel like everybody else is better at this game than you are. And in both situations, you desperately hope that some miracle will occur to bring you glory, but you're too scared to attempt to do anything that might actually achieve any recognition. Oh yeah, dances and dodgeball, the 2 D's of my middle school nightmares. Of course, looking around was kind of fun. Renee Albert was looking incredible in some kind of tightish, shiny thing, and her little court of supergirls were all dancing together, flipping their hair around and occasionally stopping to do little fix-up things with their sparkly lip gloss. I remember wondering how I could be so awkward about this stuff, but these girls, raised in the same town as me, with basically the same exact social experience I had, could be so cool. Then Annette came bounding over to me. She was wearing jeans and a shirt, like I was, but somehow the fact that we were at a dance made me too aware that she was female, so I felt weird talking with her. Plus, all of my guy friends were standing around smirking. Hi, Steven. Hi, Annette. Did you listen to that CD? Yeah. Did you figure it out? I did. I have a drum lesson with Mr. Stoll tomorrow. I think I'll bring it along so I can work on it with him. Okay, make sure you do, because I have big plans for you. You do? She just smiled and walked away. Perfect, I thought. The girl of my dreams has no idea I'm in the room, even though I've sat behind her in every class since first grade. And Annette has big plans for me. I stood around for a while more, listening to my friend's moronic commentary about how Annette wanted to jump on me and make me her band geek love slave, until my night took the final plunge into horror. My mother walked in. I didn't see her at first, and I guess she didn't spot me, so she had to get the DJ to stop the music and announce that Stephen Alpert's mother was here to pick him up. Right on the spot, without knowing what exactly was going on, I made God one final offer. Take me. Don't take Jeffy. Please, Lord, take me. Okay, guys, so that is it for chapter number 7, I think. take me? Yeah. Meet you tomorrow for the next chapter.